What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Man, we had a great night of fights in the 154-pound division that take between Jared Hurd, Lara. Also, J-Rock fought Nathaniel Gallimore, two top 10 guys that are pretty much in the top 10 of all the divisions. And now those guys are looking to face the winner of Hurd. Hopefully, if Hurd's acting right, should be getting in the ring with the winner of Jermell Charlo and whoever it is that he's going to fight next. Which means, with the exception of Saddam Ali, we got a good chance, and we see a lot of these champions fighting with each other at 154 pounds. I wish that I could say the same thing for the heavyweight division. And reading some articles that came out today and just trying to put, all the different pieces together and see where we stand with when an Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder bout could happen, to have undisputed unified champion at heavyweight, that meaning the IBF, the IBO, the WBA, the WBC, and I think I said that all. Well, there's four of them: the IBF, the WBA, the WBC, the WBO, and there's also the IBO. They could be unified by a fight with Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. However, I'm just not getting a lot of feeling that this is going to happen anytime between. It might not happen until 2020. Like, once again, Anthony Joshua had said that he didn't think that he would be ready to fight Deontay Wilder into 2020. And just looking at the timelines and looking what's being said by Wilder's camp, I fear that that's going to be the case. There are a couple articles that came out that I'm gonna share with you. But before I do that, more than likely going to do another live stream today. So I'm hoping that you'll accept my invitation to attend the live stream. We've been having a lot of fun, very good conversations that's covering a wide range of topics, boxing and otherwise. And we cover the things that I make the videos about, and other topics that a lot of times I don't have the time to make the videos and discuss on a video. We discuss those in the live stream, so you'll be able to ask questions and have a very good conversation with mature boxing fans. So I hope you accept my invitation to attend. The best way to know how to attend is to be notified by hitting the bell icon. You hit subscribe and then the bell icon, and then you should receive notifications of when the live streams happen. Now, that said, let me go through a couple things that happened. First of all, Shelly Finkel has once again come out and said that they've not received any communication from Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn said that he had anticipated, or Barry Hearn rather, said he anticipated conversations happening starting next week, which was, I think that was the Sunday after the Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker unification bout. But according to Shelly Finkel, no contact is made. And so let me go through that. Shelly Finkel, the only way Deontay Wilder fight doesn't happen will be down to Anthony Joshua. American Deontay Wilder wants to take on Englishman Anthony Joshua this year in the most important fight of recent times. This was stated by Shelly Finkel, Wilder's co-manager, in a newspaper report published by the Daily Star of England. Deontay made it very clear there's nothing but nothing that gets in the way of this fight from our side. Since Joshua said he would fight Deontay, that's all we want. Deontay has instructed us to make the fight. We are not taking anyone else. We're not negotiating with anyone else. We want to fight Joshua. We are ready. Tell us what to do. We have not heard anything. Deontay wants this fight next. He said that he will fight in the UK. There's no reason why this fight should not happen unless they do not want it, stressed Finkel. Now, there is another article that came out, and in that article that I just went through, you can clearly hear that Shelly Finkel said that despite what Barry Hearn said, that Anthony Joshua's camp has not reached out. So now this is another one where World Boxing News that talks about what they're calling a blockade. and why Anthony Joshua's next three fights could leave Deontay Wilder out of the picture. It is no secret the WBA have ordered Alexander Povetkin to be given his shot at heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua following an announcement last Friday by promoter Andrei Rybinski. Povetkin expects to begin negotiations with Joshua within 30 days and share the ring with the Londoner by the beginning of September. This means a Wembley Stadium clash at the back end of July could be workable for Joshua's handlers at Matchroom Boxing and see an undisputed unification with WBC title holder Deontay Wilder on hold. Add to that the recent IBF mandate for the final eliminator between Dillian Whyte and Kubrat Pulev, all of which sees Joshua's 2018 calendar all but planned well in advance. Wilder could hold out hope to be trading punches with Joshua by next spring, although Eddie Hearn has also made a title promise to Jarrell Miller as AJ eyes a debut in the United States. All in all, Wilder versus Joshua, provided all the titles remained in place and the Britain follows orders, could potentially happen in the summer of 2019 should Hearn put provisions in place with the WBA, IBF, and WBO for a whole year without a mandatory being ordered. Wilder and Joshua are known to want two fights agreed, meaning that their saga will take place at least 12 months. Will it take at least 12 months to complete, with a pair of training camps, recovery time, and further allowance added for their next number one contender defense. Hearn would have to disappoint Miller to have any chance of getting Joshua and a bronze bomber in the ring any earlier, which ultimately means that Big Baby would be looking at a 2020 at the earliest for his shot. AJ's timeline would be 2018 in July to August, a Povetkin WBA WBO mandatory, which was supposed to be in the UK. November or December, a Dillian Whyte or Kubrat Pulev for the IBF mandatory in the UK. And then 2019, it would be Jarrell Miller or Deontay Wilder. Jarrell Miller would be a voluntary, and Deontay Wilder would be an undisputed unification, supposedly in the U.S. July and August, Deontay Wilder, undisputed unification. November to December, a mandatory. Now, that is if Eddie Hearn puts in place certain things with the IBF, the WBO, and the WBA, specifically the WBO, where the WBO doesn't call a mandatory. Because if the WBO calls, if Anthony Joshua fights Povetkin, then fights Pulev, like those are two fights that are not mandated by the WBO. What's to stop the WBO from coming right behind that and having a mandatory? And then if he has three mandatories, what's the likelihood that he's not going to fight Jarrell Miller, that he's going to go into another, tough unification fight? So just the way things are lined up, they're turning out to look exactly like the plan that Eddie Hearn laid out 5 days before or 5 days after the Vladimir Klitschko fight had taken place, where he said that they had laid out a 4-year plan, and they talked about up to 8 fighters, none of which were either Luis Ortiz or Deontay Wilder. So just the way that this thing is laid out, it's looking like the biggest fight in boxing might get held out until 2020. That would be the case if nothing went wrong, right? If Povetkin doesn't beat Anthony Joshua, or Pulev or White doesn't beat Anthony Joshua, or the fight isn't so good that they figure out that they can make an argument for a rematch, right? That, like I said, the WBA doesn't order that fight, and that's all also hinging on the desire of Anthony Joshua to ever make the fight happen, which is what I doubt the most. I doubt Anthony Joshua's desire to make the fight. I doubt Eddie Hearn's desire to make the fight. And it's just a shame that it can't be, similar to what's going, like I said, what's going on at 154 pounds. I mean, the year 2017, and I know I've said this before, the year 2017 was just such a good year for boxing, when it just seemed like you were seeing fight after fight after fight that you wanted to see, including Deontay Wilder. Well, Deontay Wilder didn't have the opportunity to fight Luis Ortiz, but Anthony Joshua got in there with Klitschko. You got to see the Kell Brook fight. We even got to see Lomachenko versus Guillermo Rigondeaux. I mean, it's just a bunch of fights that you didn't, that were just absolutely marvelous. And 2017 was just such a good year of boxing. And now this year in 2018, it's like the whole thing is getting held up in the major weight divisions. Now, on the good side, though, it seems like at 135 pounds, things are starting to get going at 135 pounds. You got Lomachenko fighting Jorge Linares. That's going to be a good fight. Now you got Floyd Mayweather talking about having Gervonta Davis after he fights at 130 pounds against Jesus Cellular. He wants him to fight Lomachenko at 135 pounds. So, I was worried about that weight division kind of, languishing because Mikey Garcia hadn't made up his mind whether he was going to fight there or not, or whether he's going to fight at 140 pounds. No, he's made his mind up there. But, of course, we know about the log jam taking place at 147 pounds. You also got a log jam, or, now I wouldn't quite call it ducking at this point, at 160 pounds. But clearly the guy, when you have somebody like Gennady Golovkin trying to fight a guy that is so overmatched that the Nevada State Athletic Commission won't let the fight proceed, that there's an issue there, right? So, I mean, it's just a shame that we're seeing that in the major, the trophy divisions in boxing, right? But we do have, the 154 pound guys mixing it up 154 pounds. Also, you have the cruiserweight division. They mixed it up and had it, going in the we have a good chance of having either Usyk or Gassiev be the undisputed unified champion at cruiserweight. Also at 168 pounds, man, it looks like, stuff is going to happen. I think James DeGale more than likely is going to try to get up out of the United States after that very hard performance he had with Truex, but he won his IBF championship back, and now I hear he's wanting to go and have a unification fight with George Groves. I'm suspecting that's going to be in Europe, but I'll tell you, man, he needs to stay away from Gilberto Ramirez. He needs to stay away from David Benavidez. He probably needs to stay away from Khalid Plant, right? Those boys over there. I mean, the U.S. side of 168 pounds, hey, man, that's too much for James DeGale. But at least with the World Boxing Super Series at 168 pounds, it seems like, there's some decent unification going on there. Not going to necessarily talk on the smaller weight classes. There is some stuff going on at 126 pounds with Abner Mares, Leo Santa Cruz, Scott Quigg, and the like. We're actually going to get a good fight between at 130, which isn't a unification, but between Gary Russell Jr. and Jojo Diaz. That's going to be a good look. So there's some good stuff going on in boxing. It just is that the heavyweight division, it's just a shame Man, it was, I don't want to say it was better. I think it might have even been better with the Klitschko's. I mean, with the Klitschko's there, I mean, there was a good reason that the two best guys in the heavyweight division couldn't fight. I mean, couldn't fight each other. And the rest of the guys that were really coming up at the time, Deontay Wilder was still, very young in his career towards at the tail end of the Klitschko era. But, they were, I mean, it weren't like they weren't really taking fights, not that I can recall, where it was like they would be difficult to make a fight with Vladimir Klitschko or make a fight with Vitaly Klitschko. I just think that they were just a lot better than the guys around them. There were some good matches with like Samuel, like Samuel Peter. We got some slip ups every once in a while where, where Vladimir Klitschko got knocked out by Layman Brewster and got knocked out by Corey Sanders. But, all in all, they did establish themselves as being the best in that heavyweight division. But now, I mean, after Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko, it was just, man, I just throw so much thought. And I know I keep saying this, but I just read real big hopes for the heavyweight division. But now you got somebody that, you got a promoter in the situation where the promoter is trying to hold up. And I think the promotional company, Matchroom Boxing, is more interested in the success of Matchroom Boxing than it is in finding out who the best heavyweight is. And all of these fights that are being talked about with Pulev and the winner of Pulev, Dillian White, Povetkin, Big Baby Miller, none of that stuff is going to answer the question about who the best heavyweight in the world is, because we know it's between Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury when he comes back. But since Tyson Fury isn't back, there's nothing you can really do about it with him until he's until he's back for real, fighting in the ring. But, honestly, I just don't want to see anything else in the heavyweight division other than that fight. Now, another side point, man, that I wanted to address was that you even have now, I think you're starting to see that definitely with American heavyweights, legendary heavyweights, that, the, what do you call it? The honeymoon is over with Anthony Joshua. Where you have Mike Tyson saying that, he used to think that Anthony Joshua could be the man, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, where he really thought that Anthony Joshua could be that guy. To have Mike Tyson, who I think was, as far as the legendary heavyweights, right, that are around today, that being, the Larry Holmes. I've not heard Michael Spinks talk about it, but I put Michael Spinks up there as definitely one of the more underrated guys. But Larry Holmes, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis, and Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was the one that was carrying the banner for Anthony Joshua. And to have him backtrack on Anthony Joshua like that, I mean, that just speaks volumes to, man, that there's a lot of people losing faith in Anthony Joshua. Not just because, and the performance is one thing. For me, the performance isn't the big deal. I don't think he looked very good against Joseph Parker. I mean, he did look slow. I thought he won the fight. I mean, I'm not going to say that I thought it was a robbery or that, that he didn't win the fight. And I don't think that he was, any more exposed than he was with Carlos Takam. I mean, the guy's just not very fast. He's just, I don't think he's a tremendously explosive power. I don't think he's an explosive puncher. I don't think he's a George Foreman or Ernie Shavers. I don't think his punching power is on the level of Deontay Wilder. But, I mean, he's a good fighter. He's a composed fighter. He's an intelligent fighter. And he seems like he's a dedicated guy who I'd love to root for. But it just very much seems as if, he's much more into building the brand and wanting the belts than he wants it to be known that he's the best. And so just to hear Mike Tyson turn the corner on him, you know what I mean? And say, and Tyson hated giving credit to, really hated giving credit to Deontay Wilder, because the guy asked him, he's like, what do you think about Joshua? He said, man, I thought, that he was the guy, but, in his last performance, man, I wasn't impressed. I mean, and that's strong. Mike Tyson will usually be smiley. Basically, I bet you if you got him in the back room and he would have been like, man, I thought that crap was garbage. And for him to say, what do you think about Deontay Wilder? He says, he's getting better. Like, I can't stand that dude, but, he's getting better. He did beat Luis Ortiz, man. I got to give him his pub. So, anyway, it is what it is. Hopefully this thing is not going to take to 2020, but I got a feeling that when Anthony Joshua said that he was going to get ready in 2020, and with that plan that Eddie Hearn was talking about, I'm really starting to think that that's the deal, man, unfortunately. And with that, I'm out. Peace.